Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Uh, Today we are gonna be reacting to more Mars videos, and if get done with all the videos, then we'll move on to llamas with tats. Okay, then let's get started.
There is a competition in America where they vote on the fattest bear. That's right, lads. F the Super Bowl. I'm about to introduce you to the most important American sporting event of the year, Fat Bear Week. Hosted by the Katmai National Park and Preserve in Alaska every year from the 23rd to the 30th of September, the public watches as Winnie and Paddington fight it out to see who is the most absolute of units. And this year's highest calorie Kumamane has been crowned. But before that, how the f does Fat Bear Week work? Simple. See, the event is held in the lead up to hibernation season, while all of these bears are at the peak of their bulk. Now, while it's running, the park allows the public to view live stream footage from all of their trail cams. These cameras capture all the park's brown bears, allowing us to observe Freddy's fat ass cousins like we just got a job at f***ing Fazbear Entertainment. Each bear caught on camera is assigned a number and occasionally a name. We, the people, then vote on the contestants day by day, pitting them against one another in a f***ing single elimination tournament bracket.
Might I just say that Freddy Fazbear would definitely win. 100%.
Determining with our votes which bear most closely resembles a pyro commission until one bear is crowned the victor. Now, you may think this is just some silly little event, but no, over the years there has been fucking voter fraud, a manhunt for a missing hiker, and one year the trail cams caught one contestant beating to death and eating another bear. But now, to answer the question you've all been waiting for, the winner of the 2025 Fat Bear Week is 32 Chunk, winning with a broken jaw. They named that f***er after the render distance you need to load in his entire body at once. There is a...
I was stuffing my bra with socks when I heard...
There is a competition in a...
Do I have to... There's two new ones.
This fish will choke you. Just not the way you think. You see, this is a hagfish found worldwide under the sea, and this thing has one of the most f***ing disgusting defense mechanisms on the planet. You see, when I say choke, you probably think I mean they loop that pool noodle shaped body around your neck and squeeze. You are wrong. No, these guys are piss-weak scavengers that average out to about the size of a Subway footlong, and despite having a f***ing face hugger for a mouth, their main defense mechanism is, busting. You see, as you can probably tell by looking at them, these bad boys are slimy. Really slimy. And when threatened, they use it as a f***ing weapon. Whenever something tries to eat them, they kick the slime production into overdrive, secreting a protein that instantly converts the surrounding ocean water into thick, sticky sludge in half a second. And I mean, you know, a load like that in half a second, incredibly impressive. Nothing to be embarrassed about at all. This slime then seeps into and clogs the gills of their predators, suffocating them to death. Then, having literally slimed their ops, they whip out an Uno reverse card and f***ing eat them. This fish will choke you. The Kraken is a real animal. just not the one you think it is.
Who's that Pokemon?
You see, when people hear tales of the Kraken, they assume that a bunch of sailors in the oldie times got absolutely shit-faced and ran into a giant squid. And to be fair, that's not a terrible assumption. Giant squid are f***ing kaiju-sized, coming in at 12 meters in length and 900 kilos in weight. So the assumption that they saw that shit and rightly assumed sea monster isn't too far-fetched. However, there is a rather large hole in that giant squid theory. They don't live anywhere near the surface. They live down. Way down. Owning real estate at a depth of 1,000 meters below sea level in the twilight zone. So if these sailors didn't see Squidward's roided out brother, how the f*** do you explain the books of corroborating tales of long, tentacle-like appendages sticking out of the sea? Well, the answer is whales. But, where is the tentacle on a whale? Well, you see, during breeding season, blue whales reproduce by, conducting a locomotive on female whales. And in order to keep this train running on the tracks, male whales must wait their turn. And while waiting in the lobby, in order to stay prepared, the males tend to, raise their gentleman's sausage out of the water and wave it around in the air. And the special sausage on a blue whale is around 3 meters long and 14 inches thick. So, sailors who thought they were seeing a mythical monster from the depths were, more than likely just seeing a pot of whales hitting weapon inspect on their schmeat.
Captain!
Yeah?
The Kraken.
Okay, those two are done, so let me just get back to where I was. Okay. Here's the next one.
Aussie farmers thought they were being attacked by aliens. But what was actually causing it is so much funnier. This is a wallaby, the kangaroo's vertically challenged little cousin. Now, to get a little more specific, this is a Bennett's wallaby, native to my home state of Tasmania. And that location is very important to the story. Tassie is home to a lot of things. Beautiful views, a seal with a felony record, and the nut. However, one thing they tend to leave off the tourism brochures is drugs. Tasmania is the world's largest exporter of legal opium, the main ingredient in opioid painkillers like morphine, with this one tiny island producing 50% of global supply. Now, opium comes from poppy milk, and to get poppy milk, you need to milk poppies. And to produce that 50% of global supply, Tasmanian farmers grow huge fields of these things across the north of the state. However, because throwing these flowers into a crafting table gives you f***ing narcotics, these fields are legally required to be under extremely tight security. Which is why these same poppy farmers became extremely confused when f***ing crop circles showed up in the plant equivalent of a f***ing Town Hall 9 Clash of Clans base. They were understandably absolutely f***ing bewildered by this, and some people even thought it was aliens. So to figure out whether or not it was a Halo Elite drawing this shit, they set up some cameras. And what they saw was this little shit breaking into the field, eating the milk-filled buds, getting absolutely f***eyed, and then hopping in circles until he passed the f*** out. They thought the f***ing Covenant were invading, and it was a drink-driving wallaby. Aussie farmers thought Australia just found a new shark. And of course, being from the land down under, It's fucking weird. Introducing the brand new Western Australian lantern shark. As the name suggests, discovered by a team of scientists off the coast of Western Australia. Now, as with the overwhelming majority of weird shit in the ocean, the Ozempic shark here is found in the deep sea, sharing a postcode with the anglerfish, that one xenomorph shark, and Now, despite the word shark making most people think of something a little closer in size to, I don't know, Bruce, Slenderman's fish sonar over here only grows up to 30 centimeters. This little guy shares a weight class with a fucking foot long. But I mean, honestly, I still personally think 30 centimeters is way too big. He could be just as good as the other sharks if he was, let's just say 3 inches. However, other than being built like a fishy USB cable and owning a property in rock bottom, what makes him so weird? Simple. He fucking glows.
Throwing flashbang.
But fucking why? Well, you see, these bad boys are found in the twilight zone of the ocean, around 1.2 kilometers below the surface. A place so fucking far down, it sees less sunlight than the inside of a gacha addict's room. And so, lantern sharks evolved bioluminescence on their gills and fins in order to fucking communicate with one another. The glow is the evolutionary equivalent of a fucking indicator, showing that a literal abyss shark is more intelligent than your average BMW driver. Australia just found there is a competition in America where they vote on the fattest Aussie farmers. There is a I got into a car crash. Okay, so as the Aussie animal guy, I feel like I might owe you an explanation for this one. That is a normal fucking Roo. No, he is not Roosus Christ. He's not the second coming, and he's not gonna turn your water into wine. Alright, he might turn it into VB if you ask nice.
Get that up, yeah.
But if that's the case, how the fuck is he stealing the Son of God's passive? Well, the answer is fucking sand.
I don't like sand.
Yeah, you see, what's far more likely than a Roo being enchanted with water walking is that he's actually running on a sandbar. That is basically just a fancy description for ocean currents piling up a shitload of sand into one place, creating an offshore segment of the water that's not much deeper than a fucking kid's pool. Now, Roos know about sandbars, and they actually very frequently use them as a shortcut to get from A to B to find more food. So, while it looks like Skippy here is stealing Jesus' entire fucking flow, he's actually on a Macca's mish.
Let me get a...
This is the world's oldest shark.
We got a boomer.
But how old actually is it? This absolute fossil over here is the Greenland shark. And this may come as a shock to you, but the Greenland shark is found in fucking Greenland, man. And with Grandpa Shark here coming in at a fucking kaiju size 6 meters in length and a literal fucking ton in weight, this senior citizen probably worked with Godzilla back in his fucking day. But how senior is senior? Well, you might be expecting me to say something along the lines of, 100 years, maybe 150 years, right? Try higher. No, not 200. Close, but not 300 either.
Chocolate.
No, the Greenland shark can live up to 500 fucking years. You're like, I don't think you understand how old that is. So, to put it in perspective, this is Bob. Bob has just turned 500. Here is a list of things this has lived through. All 8 of King Henry's divorces, the invention of chocolate,
I remember when they first invented chocolate.
Shakespeare's entire lifespan, the Boston Tea Party, the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the founding of the United States, the colonization of Australia, the Industrial fucking Revolution, the invention of the light bulb and adoption of electricity, the Titanic becoming a submarine, World War I, the Great Depression, World War II, the Vietnam War, the fucking moon landing, and the invention of the internet. The first episode of SpongeBob. Schlatt's crimes in 99. 2001. The invasion of Iraq. The global financial crisis, the death of Harambe, Australia catching fire, the virus, and it's still with us today to watch fucking TikTok. This is the world. I don't think you understand just how old sharks are.
We got a boomer.
See, I'm not just talking individual sharks. Hammerheads, Bruce from Nemo, Jeff. Your average shark lives anywhere between 20 to 80 years. Nothing all that special. I'm talking sharks as a species. Because as a concept, sharks are fucking one-tricks. They have mained this class through every single balance adjustment Earth has thrown at them. From climate change, to the Ice Age, to that time God decided to punt a rock at Barney the dinosaur. Yeah, when it comes to prehistoric shark species, most people think of the megalodon. That big boy the size of a kaiju that was swimming around in the ocean around 26 million years ago. Which might sound like a long time, but as far as sharks go, this thing's a fucking zoomer. Go back around 250 million years to the early Triassic, before the literal dinosaurs, and you'll find Helicorpion, a shark with a fucking buzzsaw for a mouth. 250 not far back enough for you? Go back around 300 million years, and you will find Adestus, the fucking pog shark. And if that is still not far back enough, you can go all the way back, right to the beginning, to the first recognizable shark, Doliotis problematicus, at 410 million years old. Sharks have existed for 4 times longer than Saturn has had fucking rings. The first tree only sprouted out of the ground 385 million years ago. That means that for 25 million years, Groot's great-great-grandfather was sat in God's drafts while this f***er chased Nemo. I don't think you understand. Scientists just discovered a new fish. Looks fucking ridiculous. This is the bumpy snailfish, a freshly discovered species found off the coast of California. What makes this absolute specimen stick out is that it's a deep sea fish found at a depth of 3 kilometers. And I am here to tell you exactly why. Because once God finished building this thing, he took a step back, looked at it, realized exactly how fucking chopped it was, and punted that thing into the depths of the ocean where no one would ever see it again.
Be free!
However, thanks to the hubris of mankind, it is here before us today to take the piss out of.
Look at the top of his head.
I mean, fucking look at it. It is a profoundly unserious creature. I do not think a single fucking thought has ever spawned behind those eyes. Not to mention the fit on it. It looks like an aquatic, uncooked turkey with a fucking smiley face drawn on it. Coming in at a solid 3 inches in length, Bumpy here is not the only species of snailfish. There's others that look like this. However, unlike his cousins, God deemed it so that this poor little f***er would be built like a shaved testicle. The scientific term for a pair of these should be a sack. However, despite the fact that he looks like a sperm cell with a receding hairline, I love him. He's so cute. Look at that smile. That shit reminds me of Sackboy on the PS3. I know when they got his ass on camera, he looked at it and went,
You know, when you showed me up, you put some of the stuffing in the wrong places, so I'm a little f***ed up. But will you take care of me forever and ever?
Scientists just discovered this crab is a boxer.
What's your name?
Agree! That's right, stepping into the ring at 0.15 grams and a huge 2.5 centimeters in length, it's the boxer crab. You see, while most crabs use their pinchers to feed and defend themselves, the boxer crab has instead elected to spec into CQC and throw f***ing hands. And despite their completely average and not at all small size, this f***er fights in the heavyweight division, able to punch out hundreds of times its size. But how does nature's little Mac win the fights? Well, that's pretty simple. He f***ing cheats. You see, those little pom-poms aren't a fashion choice. Those are both sea anemones that the boxer crab holds in its claws to use as basically f***ing brass knuckles. Now, they get these anemones by finding other boxer crabs who have them, jumping them, and then claiming them like they are a f***ing WWE title belt. Now, if you weren't aware, anemones are venomous plant-like animals that, in order not to get eaten, sting the shit out of anything that touches them. Boxer crabs are immune to that sting, but you bet your ass that everything that tries to eat the boxer crab isn't. So, the crab and the anemone enter into a symbiotic relationship, essentially becoming an aquatic venom, with the anemone getting some of the crab's food, and the crab gaining venomous brass knuckles. So, whenever a predator gets in the ring with Crab Tyson here, he'll wait for it to get just within striking range, and then...
Mr. Squidward, I should kick your f***ing ass!
This bird is a serial killer.
Jesus Christ, you're the Bay Harbor Butcher.
I really hate that name.
Introducing the Shrike, a group of feathery friends found all over the world, including the land down under. Now, at first glance, you may be thinking to yourself, how could this sweet little guy be a vicious killer? I mean, he's so tiny. They only grow up to around 30 centimeters and cap their weight out at 90 grams. And on top of being about as threatening as a fucking teddy bear, look at their claws. A shrike trying to end anything with its talons is like trying to stab a hippopotamus to death with a fucking pool noodle. Listen to the thing, it sings like it's on American Idol. It's a songbird, a branch geek. It never heard a fly. But I'm fucking onto you, Tweety.
You give me the fucking creeps, you know that, Dexter?
You may have everyone else fooled, but I know exactly what you are, because shrikes actually have another name. They're called fucking butcher birds. Yeah, that's right, the Dexter jokes actually had a fucking point. Now, you see, when the Bay Harbor butcher bird wants to hunt, they first start by selecting a target.
Tonight's the night.
Now, unlike Dexter, their code tells them they can eat whatever the f*** they want. Insects, mice, me, even lizard. And once they pick their meal, they wait for the right moment and swoop on it. Now, while those claws might be fucking useless, they do have a signature weapon. That tiny hook on the end of their beak. And once they land on their victim, they slide that hook into its neck, perfectly slotting between their vertebrae and severing their fucking spinal cord. But converting their prey into a vegetable isn't enough. No. These sick fucks keep trophies. Once they have paralyzed their prey and shattered its spine, they will fly its corpse back to their larder, which is either a thorn bush or a fucking barbed wire fence. And once they get home, they fucking impale them. They will then leave that corpse there for days, occasionally biting chunks out of it, eating it like leftovers from the fucking fridge. Dexter collected blood slides. These fuckers create kebabs. A lot of people are scared of snakes, but have you ever wondered what snakes are scared of? The answer is this fucking bird. Introducing the secretary bird, native to the continent of Africa, and a prime example that being a hater pays off. Coming in at 1.3 meters tall and 4.27 kilos in weight, This lanky turkey has been purpose-built, nay, expertly fucking engineered by the gods themselves with the sole purpose of violating the ever-loving out of any garden hose that so much as looks at it the wrong way. You see, these bad boys are birds of prey, but unlike their cousins in the same category, they are primarily terrestrial, which means they spend most of their time on the ground. This is because their preference for diet is sentient slithering sausages. However, with this thing being endemic to Africa, their preferred meal also just happens to include some of the deadliest predators on the fucking planet. Does this stop the secretary bird? No, mate. Despite having no natural venom resistance, these absolute fucking gigachads will eat cobras, boomslangs, and black mambas without breaking a sweat. But how do they hunt these things without getting bitten? Simple. They just kick the fuck out of them. You see, those long-ass legs aren't just for show, as a secretary bird is capable of accurately curb-stomping a snake's head into the ground with a force equal to 5 times their fucking body weight. So when a secretary bird fancies a bite to eat, they start out by stomping the ground around dense vegetation. This causes snakes in the area to poke their heads out of their houses to see what the f*** is going on. The snake then looks up in horror as the secretary bird locks onto him, sprints over at Mach 9, and then... A lot of people are scared of snakes. This bird is a vampire. Introducing the vampire groundfinch, native to the Galapagos Islands, and a great example of the horrifying affronts to the universe that evolution can produce when it decides to do a little trolling. Now you see, at first glance, this is the most boring vampire you can possibly imagine. Coming in at a measly 12 centimeters and a mere 20 grams in weight.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
Rocking a feather pattern I can best describe as a Minecraft dirt block, and as it turns out, the bastards that wrote Twilight lied to me because it doesn't even fucking sparkle.
This is the skin of the killer, Bill.
So if it's missing fangs, angst, a cape, and the funny accent,
You must bounce on it.
how does it qualify as a vampire? Simple. Drinks a shitload of blood. You see, most birds eat seeds and insects, and while the vampire finch can eat those too, there is a problem. They live on an island, and that island is very small. In fact, they're only found on 2 of the Galapagos Islands, and small islands means a far smaller amount of that food to go around. To the point where these finches can't rely on it as their sole source, which for a bird usually isn't a problem, because, you know, they don't need a plane ticket to just f*** off and fly somewhere. However, as the name suggests, the vampire ground finch can't fly for shit. So, how do they get their food? They suck it out of someone that can. This, don't laugh, is the Nazca booby. Hey, stop giggling back there. Another species of bird native to the islands. They are very strong flyers that feed on fish. They also nest on the islands, which is where our feathery Nosferatu comes to play. You see, when the boobies, stop giggling, come to roost, the vampire finch will sneak over and hop onto their back. Then, using their razor-sharp beak, they will poke a very small, borderline painless hole into one of the bird's flight feathers. Once the blood is flowing freely, the vampire finch gorge themselves on it. See, as it turns out, blood is macro-friendly. And considering these things are living creatures, they just make more blood. In essence, giving the vampire finch an infinite food source. In fact, they can get so much blood from these birds, it is not uncommon to see multiple finches sucking from the same booby. I'm sorry, I can't say that shit without cracking up. This spider hunts with jump scares. But how? Introducing the trapdoor spider, a family of arachnid containing hundreds of species found in every continent on the globe. Meaning, yes, for once, this bad boy could be in your backyard and you'd never know. Now, trapdoor spiders are particularly interesting compared to other spiders due to their hunting method. You see, normal spiders tend to spend several hours spinning up some elaborate art piece for a fly to clothesline itself on. And tarantulas just jump But trapdoor spiders, yeah, they hunt with a door. Very early on in life, trapdoor spiders dig themselves a hole. This silk-lined burrow will then serve as its home for basically its entire 20-year lifespan. Hell, they basically never leave the thing, like some neckbeard living in his mum's basement. But they've still got to eat, and since DoorDash does not deliver to spiders, this burrow doubles as their method for catching food. You see, they use their silk to craft a trapdoor over the burrow entrance. Then, using their fantastic arts and craft skills, they just bolt a bunch of random shit to their front door so it blends in perfectly with the floor. After finishing their construction project, they will spin up a bunch of basically invisible strands of web on the floor in the surrounding area that act as tripwires, feeding information back to their neckbeard nest whenever something steps on it. And when some unfortunate insect steps a little too close...
Money!
This is the world's biggest spider. But why the f is it that big? Introducing Theraphosa blondie, a tarantula surprisingly not native to Australia for once. It's found on the other tyrannid hive continent, South America. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Yeah, this thing is fucking huge. Coming in at a frightening 175 grams in weight and 12 inches in leg span.
Damn, boy, he's thick!
And those legs are not the only place it's packing inches, because Shelob's cousin here is packing fangs that measure a huge inch in length. For scale, that is like a 6-foot human packing canines the length of a fucking ruler. But the important question, why the f is it so big? And the answer is that I have withheld information from you. You see, I introduced this girl by a Latin name. She's much better known as the Goliath bird eater tarantula. That's right, this EDF-sized spider, not unlike me, would fucking kill for some KFC. Literally. These bile titans will quite happily hunt birds, remy, frogs, and even... lizard. And they do all of this without a fucking web. Yeah, Goliaths are a pure melee build, hunting by prowling the jungle floor, sensing for movement with incredibly sensitive hairs on their legs. These hairs pick up vibrations in the air, which tell them when something is close. And once their spidey sense tells them that Remy's in range, they fucking jump him, biting him with those daggers they call fangs and injecting him with fucking neurotoxin. Can I go 1 week without covering neurotoxin? Of course this thing has it too. You know, I give up. I give up. They then drag their prey back to their burrow and spit up acidic digestive juices in order to suck their prey up through a fucking straw. This is the world.
Is the God led to choose?
Australia just found a new record-breaking insect. But before I show him to you, how the f*** do we keep finding new bugs? You see, Australia is home to an estimated 200,000 species of insect, which is pretty damn impressive, especially when you consider the only place you're going to find more bugs than that is by counting the f***ing roach population in Asmongold's walls. Now, the scary part of this is that out of that 200k, we've only actually identified 62,000, meaning that we have no idea what nearly 3/4 of the bugs in the country actually fucking do.
You like jazz?
And so it should come as no surprise that while exploring Australia's dense rainforests, 2 scientists discovered a new record holder for the largest insect in the land down under, and it's a fucking stick bug. Introducing Acrophila alta,
that is
and
huge.
coming in at a full 40 centimeters and 44 grams in weight. I don't think that qualifies as a stick insect anymore. That's fucking Groot. Australia's very own Erd tree avatar was discovered in Queensland. Because of course it fucking was. And despite being enough inches in length to make any man jealous, it's actually completely harmless. However, given how many oversized bugs we already have, if we find any more, I think they're gonna send the fucking Helldivers. Australia doesn't just have snakes and spiders, it has a tiger. Well, kinda. Introducing the thylacine, better known as the Tassie tiger. As the name suggests, native to my home state of Tasmania, this tiny little island off Australia's south coast. No, that is not New Zealand. They have hobbits, not tigers. Tiger isn't entirely correct. You see, the thylacine isn't a cat on steroids. You see, this bad boy is the largest carnivorous marsupial on the planet. Despite the kangaroo coming in at 7 foot tall and throwing kicks like Chun-Li, they are herbivores, and everything else with a pouch that eats meat is about the size of a chihuahua, making this 1.3 meter, 20 kilo kangaroo dog with a tiger persona the only marsupial apex predator. See, these things were ambush hunters, using stealth and speed to silently take down their prey like they're playing Assassin's Creed. On top of being a fully qualified Spec Ops agent, these things had a mouth on them to rival Kirby. Capable of opening their jaw a full 80 fucking degrees, which is absolutely terrifying and really cool. There's just one small problem. You may have picked up on me talking mostly in the past tense, and that all of this footage is in black and white. That's because we don't have a tiger. We had one. Unfortunately, the thylacine was driven to extinction in the late 1980s. By what exactly? The British. You see, when the Brits, did their thing and decided Tasmania was their house now, actually, they brought with them livestock, namely sheep and cattle, which was a fucking blessing to the Tassie tiger, which rapidly added these walking meatballs with the survival instincts of a wet sock to their meal plans.
It's free real estate.
The colonists did not take kindly to the thylacine taking their livestock without a license in it, so they placed bounties on their heads. Never mind that these things never attacked humans and very rarely took their livestock. No, they were an inconvenience. And so, they were hunted down. One by one by one. For 70 fucking years. Until September 7th, 1936. When the last thylacine, Benjamin, died cold and alone in a cage at the Hobart Zoo. Usually I'd end these with a joke, but the fact that we wiped his entire bloodline and turned him into a fucking rug isn't that funny. Australia has a straight up Pokemon. Introducing the brush-tailed possum, more specifically the golden brush-tailed possum. Native to the land down under and one of the rare examples of an Australian animal that isn't expressly designed to DoorDash you straight to heaven. You see, the brush-tail is one of a grand total of 23 species of Australian possum, which, despite the name, share absolutely no relation to the red-blooded American opossum. These adorable little marsupials come in all shapes and sizes, from the ringtail possum to the sugar glider, and to our protagonist here, the golden brushtail, which is really just a common brushtail possum with a rare genetic mutation called leucism that causes them to lose the pigment in their skin. So basically, it's a fucking shiny Pokemon. Coming in at around 4.5 kilos and 40 centimeters in length, these tree-dwelling marsupials are nocturnal and primarily herbivores, mainly consisting on a diet of leaves and fruit. And for added cute points, as marsupials, yes, they carry around their babies in a little pouch like their roided out cousin the kangaroo. However, come on, the thing is from Australia, you didn't really think these bad boys would be squeaky clean, did ya? You see, they aren't entirely herbivores. Sure, they love a good salad, They will also quite happily raid a bird's nest and turn Tweety's kids into a 3-egg omelette. Roadkill? Sounds like a fine steak dinner to me.
And just because it's not a venomous predator doesn't mean it can't take your fucking finger off. And the cherry on top, Aussie Pikachu here doesn't go Pika Pika. No, you see, Down Under doesn't have Pokemon trainers, because when you step into the tall grass out here, you hear this absolute fucking demon.
Australia has a straight up... This spider can remove your limbs. But how? Introducing the brown recluse, native to the United States of America, and a prime example of don't judge a book by its cover. Because despite only coming in at a huge 2 centimeters in length and rocking the spider equivalent of default character customization, this little f***er is a level 500 rot build that gives Melania a run for her money. You see, a bite from a recluse starts in the most American way possible, with you accidentally stepping foot onto his private property, causing him to exercise his Second Amendment rights. But considering a spider can't really hold a gun, he's gonna settle on biting your ass. Now, that initial bite's pretty painless. You smack him away, all's well. There is just one small problem. Congratulations, you are now the proud owner of necrotic venom coursing through your veins, which at first does nothing. You walk back to your house, the bite starts to sting a little more. You feel sick. The wound swells, and the blood vessels around the bite burst, turning it a deep red. Over the next few days, that colour shifts from red to purple to black, as the venom literally destroys and kills the surrounding tissue in a process called necrosis. This causes the skin to literally rot and fall off of your body. And if you don't catch it in time, that rot's gonna spread. If you're lucky, it'll only make you violently ill and leave permanent scarring. If you're unlucky, it just keeps spreading and venom starts to destroy your blood cells and shut your organs down. Now, there's kind of only one solution to that, but you weren't using that arm anyway, right? This spider...
I was gonna take Peaches to the...
This isn't a spider. It's a snake. Introducing the Iranian spider-tailed horned viper, as the name suggests, native to Iran, and you are all probably wondering why the f*** this snake has decided to attach a cosplay of the average Australian resident to his tail. The answer is food. You see, every known snake species is a predator. Some eat Bambi, others eat Remy, and the spider tail, not unlike myself, absolutely fucking loves KFC. However, birds famously tend to fly, and last I checked, nope, ropes don't have wings. So, how does this viper get his zinger box? The answer is, again, food. You see, birds eat insects, and the spider tail knows this. So, rather than trying to chase his prey down, this lazy fucker has evolved the evolutionary equivalent of DoorDash. You see, when a viper feels like a meal, it'll start the hunt by finding a nice rocky outcrop to curl up on like a couch. And due to the camouflage on his scales, this snake becomes practically invisible. Once he's nice and cozy, he begins to slowly wiggle his tail back and forth in front of his face, perfectly mimicking the motion of an insect. Think of this as him placing his Uber Eats order. Meanwhile, up in the air, our undercooked chicken tender is flying around when, holy shit, a free meal! What a delectable bug, just sitting there on that rock. And so, Tweety Birdie swoops down to grab himself an insect Happy Meal. And just as he's about to reach his meal, this isn't a spider. It's Australia's...
Okay, that is all the time I have for today, so... hold on a second. That's all the time we have for today. Next stream, we're going back to the Tree of Wishes. And we're going even deeper. We'll explore the first major wishing world's own, see more concept art, and talk about how the world changes depending on the emotional path you choose. Thank you all for being here, for sharing, for watching the video. And see you next time.